Okay, now let's look at the issue of tax. So let's assume we've got a downward sloping demand curve here, upward sloping supply curve here. The market normally operates at this equilibrium point right here. Let's say that's price of $5, quantity of $10 here. Now let's assume that the government imposes a new tax on sellers of let's say $2 a unit. Now one way to model that is that we just simply say represent the tax as an additional cost to the firms, and so it's just like the supply curve shifting to the left. Just like if wages went up or other input costs went up, they now need to pay an additional tax, and so that goes up there. So the market moves to this new equilibrium point here. Now a key way to model this is that the amount of the tax, and let's say it's $2, is actually the distance between these two supply curves here, the original supply curve and this sort of shifted supply curve to the left. So if it's a $2 tax, then the way this is going to work is, let's make that $6 and let's make that $4 for example, and then this is actually the amount of the tax here that's been levied, $2 per unit. So, and it's the vertical distance between the two supply curves. Okay, so what's been the so effectively the market has moved sort of from this point to this point. Consumers pay sort of $6 for the good, but firms actually only receive $4 because they have to pay $2 in tax to the government. What's happened to consumer surplus? Well, it's this triangle here. The market's operating here, draw the horizontal line here, and the consumer surplus is the amount below the demand curve. Now, what happens with tax? Well, it's a $2 tax, and the amount that's being sold, let's assume that's $8. Sorry, 8 units there. So it's a $2 tax by 8 units. So this area here actually becomes the amount of tax revenue that the government collects, and then the producer surplus is this triangle here. Now this is a bit different because you draw the horizontal line for the producer surplus from the original supply curve, which is their real costs, after taking into account the tax, across to the vertical axis, and it's the area above the supply curve to that price there. So this is the consumer surplus, this is the producer surplus. The tax is this amount in here. And you notice the tax also creates a standard sort of deadweight loss in this here, where this is a triangle that no one gets. So it's a deadweight loss in there. Consumer surplus, producer surplus, the amount of the tax, and a triangle here that no one gets in terms of that deadweight loss.